All right, welcome everybody to our team training call. It's been a few weeks, and so hopefully everyone had an awesome Thanksgiving, and we're able to share some time with friends and family. Now we're getting right into the thick of the holidays. This last week I already had I don't know how many Christmas concerts we've been to. My daughter in college, she's in the choir there, and they had their Christmas presentation and it's just going. So, and we're already on the 7th, right? 7th of December. So
Pearl
we're,
Harbor Day.
yeah, that's true. So, yes, let's remember Pearl Harbor and what that meant, and thankful to all the veterans out there. Probably don't have any, a lot of people that were still alive back in Pearl Harbor Day, maybe a few, but yeah, definitely thankful to those that have served and appreciate it to defend our freedoms. Yeah, here we are, less than 20 days away from Christmas, right? And then, just a few weeks away from the new year. So things go fast. We know they'll rush by this next little bit will be it'll be fun, and so hopefully we can all celebrate and be together with family and friends, and celebrate the holiday, and what it means, and then of course into the new year, and resetting those new year's resolutions, and wanting to continually be better, right? That's my philosophy. Has always been about personal development and finding ways to improve consistently and every day. And it's something I've been passionate about. So as I mentioned in the text message, we did not have a leadership call this month. The decision was made. They said, there's really not going to be much to talk about. We're still just kind of waiting for the new year before they want to make any major moves or make any major decisions on things. And so our next update call will likely be on the 8th of January. So it'll be the second Wednesday of the month, because the first Wednesday of the month is New Year's Day. So we were going to do it that day. But on the 8th of January is our next scheduled call with Peter, with Malin, and the Leadership Council. And we're hopeful that on that day we'll start putting together a game plan, kind of get some ideas what Peter and Melinda are thinking as far as what's next, right? Or not next. What is new? So for those that haven't seen the message and stuff, we did have the letter that went out the last part of October. If you haven't seen that yet, it's titled 6 Months Later, and it talks about this idea of we had to let the old die, right? And we're going to start something new. Instead of calling it next, we're just going to call it something brand new, just like the analogy that he mentions that comes from the Bible about not wanting to put new wine in old bottles, or in some translations they use wineskins, right? There was some debate back and forth on what the correct terminology was for that parable, but the message is clear, right? We want something new that we can move forward with, and not have to have all the old baggage and everything. But what does that mean? It does mean that we will still try our best to respect what was the old, right? And Peter has definitely made it clear that he will be taking care of those that have stayed the course and stayed with us, and all of that into this new thing. So we will not have any updates until after that day on January 8th. So my plan is that as soon as I can after that, we'll get some word out on what they're thinking and what we want to do. So next Saturday, I'm going to do a training. It's not really a training. It's more of a just a Christmas message about personal development, and and loving one another, right? That kind of thing. That's the message, and being a light into the new year. And then we will take a break for another few weeks, let everybody celebrate Christmas and New Year's and everything, and then we'll be back on track for the 10th of January, and with some updates and New Year's training. So today, though, we are going to dive into another training that I've put together, and it's called 17 Ways to Guarantee Your Success. So
Do
let's
you
go
want to
ahead.
mute the, do you want to mute some people before you go?
Oh, yes. Let's go ahead. That's true. Good point. Let me make you a admin, Vaughn, so that you can go ahead and watch for that. And go. Yes, please mute yourself if you're not. Uh, and there we go. All right. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. Dive into this. All right. So thanks for jumping on today. Um, we are going to talk about 17 ways that we can assure our success, right? Timely message for end of the year, getting into the new year. And Pelé was a famous soccer player from Brazil. And he mentioned many times, he was one of the most successful soccer players ever. And he said, success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you're doing. Right. I love that. I thought that was great. And it kind of takes us into this idea of what are some of the things we can be doing as we close out the year and start the new year of having success and assuring our success in whatever we're doing. So, the number one thing is turning success into a game. And Mother Teresa actually is famous for saying, life is a game. So play it, right? And I love that. I love this idea that we should be enjoying life, right? And every game has its challenges. Every game has its ups and downs. Every game is something that we're trying to solve a problem, or there's competition, right, and everything, and that's just normal. And so we hear about people grinding, right? That's it's a term a lot of people. Oh, I'm grinding through it, right? But that sounds awful. I don't want to grind through days. Yeah, it just sounds like it's going to burn us out and bring misery. So the best performers in the world, they don't grind, they game, right? For example, Warren Buffett, he became good at selling because as a child, he would actually go door to door selling chewing gum. But he wasn't focused so much on the money making part of it. He was more fascinated by trying to figure out which flavors sold best, right? So even back then, he was trying to make predictions. And even today, he's still playing those same kind of games, just on a way bigger level, right? So we can turn it into a game. If we can turn it into something that's interesting and fun and has adventure to it, then it's something that we don't try to avoid, right? We want to stick with it. So first thing and foremost, let's let's make life a game. Let's make it fun, right? Let's make it adventurous so that we're not just grinding through stuff. Okay. Then the second thing is knowing that we actually can succeed, right? That it's real. So Dale Carnegie very famously said, "Believe that you will succeed, and you will." Right? And it just fascinates me. I hear people all the time, "Oh no, I could never get that." Right? Like I try and give them a vision. I try and share stuff with them, and they just don't even think that they could ever get there. They don't even think that they could ever succeed. So, there's that moment when you see what you want, and there's that voice inside you that speaks that says, I could be that, right? I could achieve that. And that experience, that moment is pivotal. So it all goes back to, again, whether it's a game or a sport or whatever it is you're trying to do, right? Think about an Olympic athlete. Do you think anybody that went to the Olympics at some point didn't believe they could, right? That they had it in their brain that, oh, it's not even possible to get to the Olympics. So why even try, right? No, they they saw themselves, right? They believed it. Had a point where they said, yeah, I could see myself at the Olympics competing. And they had that goal. They could really believe it was something that they could do. So putting it simply, you have to have that identity shift where you have to really believe, hey, I could be a millionaire. I could be a professional whatever. At some point, you have to just get beyond the oh I hope I hope I could maybe someday do that. No, I can see myself there, right? And at some point, because you either have to give up on your dream or you got to stop just being a wannabe. You got to really, truly believe you can be that successful person, that professional, that, whatever it is. If you're learning a language, that, language speaker, right? And you can see yourself and just, oh, okay, I'm going to do it. So once you've done that, now the next thing is to stop hiding it, right? Stop being embarrassed by it, because what other people think of you is none of your business. Okay. Let me read that again. What other people think of you is none of your business. So if you want to remain mediocre in something forever, yeah, keep it to yourself, hide it, right? But if you want to become extremely successful, then openly share it with everyone, especially your loved ones. Okay. Harmonious passion is all about living an integrated rather than a compartmentalized life. The more aligned you are with becoming on who you are, the more congruent all areas of your life will be. You put it out there, and now even just your subconscious is like, oh, I put it out there. I better do it. Right. So, and moreover, the more honest you are with the person you intend to be, the more support and love you're actually going to get from your friends and family. Okay. They're going to kind of help holding you accountable to your dreams and goals. And if they see you stop making progress, and I mentioned this in previous trainings, but I'm learning Japanese on the Duolingo app on my phone, and one of the things that the Duolingo app does that I love is that you can have friends, right? And so that kind of nudge you, or they can see your progress, right? So it tells other people how you're doing, and vice versa. You can see how they're doing. And so I'm on there with my daughter, and my daughter, she's learning Korean. I'm learning Japanese, and the app will say, hey, you know what, your daughter did this and whatever, or you can see that she hasn't done her lesson today, and you can send a reminder, right? You can nudge her. I can push the button and say, oh, send her a message, hey, what's going on, how come you didn't do your lesson today? So it's really been good, because now I'm at 89 days, right? 89-day streak, and I can't let that happen where I lose my streak, and she's pushing the button saying, hey, what's going on, how come, don't be that guy that lets your 90-day streak not happen because you forgot. So it's been great, and that putting it out there has been really helpful. And now I'm starting to pick up on all kinds of Japanese things that are out there. It's been a really, really good experience. So don't hide it, right? Let people know what your goals are, what you're trying to do, and so that they can support you and help you and motivate you, right? And keep you accountable. All right. Now, after that, it goes to the vision, right? And we've talked about this in many of the trainings that I've done, talking about your why and your reason, right? And it really is that you've got to have that vision. Okay. Believing you can get there, but then defining it, defining what it is that you really want. What is your vision? Okay. So you create your vision, then you go beast mode to achieve it. Okay. Now, it's not always just about, oh, okay, I'm going to define, I want a new car or a new house, or I want to go on vacation, or I want to be debt free or whatever, the just the generic stuff, right? It really does need to be detailed and defined and specific, because it all comes down to what your vision causes you to do, right? What it motivates you to do. So rather than worrying so much about what your vision is, you should be thinking about what your vision is doing. What is it doing to you? What does it do to your environment, your behavior, your relationship, your aspirations, your income, of course, and finally, your impact, right? You want to have a positive impact on the world. And so, so you just have to ask yourself, are you and your external world transforming in powerful and inspired ways? If so, then your vision is working. But if not, then we need to adjust that vision to ensure that it's focusing on execution and transformation, right? So that's the most important consideration. Is your vision actually working? Is it doing what it's supposed to, which is to motivate you to get it done? So now we're going to implement, right? Now we're going to put it into practice, okay? So Stephen Covey, we love Stephen Covey. He taught private victories precede public victories. You can't invert that process any more than you can harvest a crop before you plant, right? So We all know Kobe Bryant, right? Fortunately, passed away a few years ago in a helicopter accident, but he was a good example of always being the first person in the gym and the last to leave. Okay. He worked harder than anyone else. He had more coaches and trainers. He was always pushing his own limits and perfecting even the smallest facets of his skill set. So when practice becomes the game for you, that's when you're about to explode in your progress. Why? Because practice is all about perfecting the skills. True practice and learning force you to deeply examine the chinks in your armor. You're only as strong as your weakest link. We've heard that, right? So, in a world that tells you to ignore your weaknesses, true practitioners do the opposite, right? They look for their weaknesses. They try and see where they're going to break, and then try and fortify those weaknesses to become strengths. And it's fascinating when you actually start putting it into practice, because you do. You start to see, oh, this is where I'm weak. This is where I need to work. This is what I need to be doing, right? And if you're not doing that on a daily basis, it just prolongs the process. So let's try and be consistent on that daily practice. Now, another thing, really important to understand is we should be writing everything down, right? Isabella, again, they said that write what should not be forgotten. Okay. Another quote that's not in here, but I like also, it says, amateurs think they can remember, but professionals write it down, right? I remember learning that a long time ago. I'm like, yes, it's true. So your mind can be like a well, right? And it takes pumping the well for a while to get the ideas and the creativity flowing. However, if you get the well pumping and then really all you got to do is just keep it going, right? That's the point. So if you get to the point where the ideas and insights keep coming, then you got to take notes. You got to write them down. So it's your responsibility to do that, right? If you ignore those subconscious promptings, they will stop coming. Okay. So taking notes, adjusting your mindset, shifting your behavior is how you pump the well. It's how you keep the ideas flowing. You must continually be shifting the connections and model. And a lot of people, I've seen that. I learned this actually from my youngest daughter, who she's a writer, and I laugh because I'm like, well, where are you writing at? Don't you have notepads? I bought her journals and other things to write in, and she doesn't use them. And I'm like, look at the stack of notebooks and things that you have, and they're all empty. And she's like, yeah, it's because I do it all on my phone. And she's an expert at getting on her phone and just pulling up there's an app that she uses. It's called WhatsApp, and she gets on it and just she knows how to organize all her thoughts and stuff, and she's got it all in her phone. Right? It's just amazing what technology can do. I'm not quite there yet. I still write things down, but in the end, it doesn't matter if you're writing it on physical pen and paper kind of thing, or if you're doing it digitally, or some people I know record, right? They'll actually do a little record thing. There's apps you can use for that too, where if you have an idea or a thought, you can just do a quick recording of that thought or that idea. And people sometimes do that. But that's the thing, is just make sure you're not just letting things go, right? Save them, write them down, record them somehow. Okay. And do that. I learned it when I was in college. I wanted to be a musician back in the day and a songwriter. And I did that for a little while where I was writing songs and stuff. And I remember my professor, he said, the most famous musicians out there, the most famous songwriters out there that actually get popular and make money and stuff, they actually write several songs a day, every single day. They're always writing songs, right? And he said 99% of them are garbage, right? 99% of them are like, what? What are you doing? But it's in the writing, 99 out of 100 songs that you find the one, right? You find the one that's a hit. You find the one that becomes successful. And that's what successful writers do. Whether you're writing stories or novels or music or whatever, or creating, right? Same thing if you were like my son, he's a graphic designer, an artist, an animator. And the same thing, he is constantly, every single day, he's drawing, right? Drawing, whether it's in a notebook or on the computer or whatever, because he knows that it takes 100 times, 99 of them are going to be garbage crap, or to get the one that's amazing. And so that's the thing. You just got to keep that something available to keep the ones that are worth keeping. But you got to be consistent again, because you can't just say, oh, I drew, one, five, 10 of them and they're all terrible, so I'm a terrible person. No, you keep going, you get the one out of 100. Now, okay. And then, of course, over time, you get better, right? And it doesn't take that long. But in the beginning, that's what you got to do. All right. Now, you got to quickly address mistakes too. So, lessons in life will be repeated until they're learned, right? We know that. And according to brain scan studies, if you don't address a problem in a quarter of a second after a mistake is made, you're probably not going to do anything about it. Okay. So you'll just shrug your shoulders, you'll just keep going. This is really bad for learning. You're not just, or you're just more deeply ingraining the negative if you don't address it, right? If you don't say, hey, wait, no, stop, let's try and fix that. So performance experts have found that if you address your mistake immediately, you can learn more in 5 minutes than most people do in 30 days, right? If you simply address your problems on the spot, correct them, and learn better ways, guess what? You don't have to continuously repeat the problem. And it saves you so much time, right? And it helps you do that personal development so much quicker. So address it. Don't be embarrassed by it. Just recognize, yeah, I'm going to make mistakes and it's okay. And let's try and fix them immediately, and not just let it keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay. All right. Number 8, sorry, is to face your pain, right? So, Dadinsky said, someday your pain will become the source of your strength. So face it, brave it, and you will make it. Learning and growing are emotional and often painful experiences. Sometimes things happen in life you just don't plan for, right? And you're not responsible for them even. They're just traumatic experiences. So whether they're caused by you or somebody else, when you go through a painful experience, that experience can only become one of two things to you. It's either going to become a long-term problem, or it's going to become a core strength. That's it. Those are the only choices. When you experience a powerfully emotional experience, you experience what is known as a refractory period, which is your psychological response to that experience. That period should ideally be short, but often people don't cope well with those experiences. Sometimes the refractory period of a certain experience can last years. So we just have to recognize in the beginning, right, that these things are going to happen. We're going to have troubles and problems and traumatic experiences. It's just inevitable in life. So we might as well address it head on, right? And have it become a strength to us. Let's learn from it immediately. Because if we don't, yeah, it will just slow us down and become an obstacle. All right, now we're going to talk about having fun milestones, right? Nelson Mandela said, remember to celebrate milestones as you prepare for the road ahead. And this goes back to making it a game, making it fun, right? Making life enjoyable. A key component of mastering anything is creating fun, engaging, and relevant milestones throughout the learning process. That's why I love, when we do recognition, for example, right? You go through different ranks and, oh, okay, I hit this rank, I hit that rank. So for example, if you're trying to learn a new language, here's the great thing. You could actually say, okay, I'm learning Japanese, right? So one thing to solidify that is I could buy a plane ticket to Japan in about 3 months from now, right? And so I can know, oh, I'm going to Japan. I'm going there, right? I gotta learn Japanese so I can practice it in the restaurants. I can practice it at the hotel. I can practice it, going to the little gift shop, whatever it is. So you can plan that out, right? You plan to eat at fun restaurants and see interesting things, and then reward yourself in a way that links directly what you're trying to master. So my reward in that case is I get to go to Japan, right? How cool would that be? Go to Japan. Like, my daughter's been bugging me to take her to Japan for years. She like loves Asia and all things Asia. So she's like, Dad, take me to Japan. So that's kind of one of our things we're doing is she's learning Korean, I'm learning Japanese, and so we're like, okay, let's plan this out. Let's figure out a time we can go to Japan and stop by Korea on the way. Might as well, right? While we're there, and since they're so close, so that's one way we're going to reward ourselves is, and the other thing we're doing is just here locally, we've been going out and trying out, they have these restaurants, they're called hot pots. So, for maybe some of you have ever been to a hot pot. They're really fun, right? They have a table and they put a big pot of hot water and it's like with a broth, and then they bring you all the vegetables and the meats and everything, and you put them in there and you cook them in the hot pot right in front of you. And it's just an all you can eat kind of thing. And so we've been trying out different hot pots around town as a reward, right, for our goals in language learning, and it's been really fun. So if you can reward yourself, make it fun, then it's more likely you're going to stick with your goal and achieve whatever it is you're trying to do. Now, number 10 is investing big on yourself. Okay. You will never go broke from investing in yourself because it makes you better. It makes you that $1 million person that we've talked about. Jim Rohn talks about. Dreamers invest their money in time into distractions, while doers invest their time and money in their dreams. Right. So what does that mean? Well, the financial investment will make it real to you. This is a huge part of ignition. When you start acting in ways that excite you and in ways that reflect the future identity you're trying to create, then you begin identifying with the future self here and now. You signal to yourself who you are by the actions you take. Your behavior shapes your personality and your identity. This is one of the most important moments you can have. That moment where you say, whoa, I'm actually doing this. Okay. That moment is deeply connected with the moment where you say inside of yourself, I can be one of these. So, an example of this, I'll just get, this just occurred to me right now. I hadn't even thought of it until just now. So, that Duolingo app that I keep talking about, where I'm learning Japanese, well, there's a free version, right? Which is great. And I was using that for a while. But then I realized, you know what? If I do the paid version, I get a lot more tools with it. I get better reminders, right? And so I made a decision. They have a family plan, and it ended up being it was $100 for the entire year, and you can have 5 users, right? So you can have 5 people that you can invite to be on your family plan. And I said to myself, you know what? If I'm serious about this, if I really want to learn Japanese and help my daughter to learn Korean and all that, I'm going to make the investment. I'm going to pay the $100 to get the paid version of Duolingo and use it. And you know what happened? Now I'm committed. Right now I'm obligated because I did it. I paid the $100 for a year of access. I invited my daughter, I invited my son also to jump on there. He wants to learn Russian for whatever reason. But anyway, now it's like I've noticed that it's become a little bit more real to me, right? Because when it's the free version, you say, okay, if I skip a day, whatever, right? But now I'm like, no, I paid for this thing. I'm going to use it, and it became real, right? And so that's the idea. Invest in yourself, and now it becomes something. It's not just a distraction, right? It becomes, oh, I'm actually doing this. We're going to take it to the next level, and I really believe that over the next year I'm going to become fluent in Japanese. I think I can. So it's going to be awesome. All right, now the number 11 is about ignoring the negative, right? So just keep calm and ignore negative people because they're out there. They're going to be there. The haters are all over the place. So keep your eyes only on the people who inspire you. You have good taste. Okay, you do. The worst thing you can ever do is worry about what your peers think, right? When people begin to worry about what their peers are thinking, their motivation becomes clouded and confused. They stop doing their work for internal reasons that got them excited in the first place, and they begin trying to fit in or to be impressive to the wrong people, right? So don't let that happen. Don't worry about what other people are going to say about you because it's interesting. I just read an article about Ariana Grande. For those that have seen the movie that just came out, Wicked, right? The musical. And I liked it. My daughters and my wife loved it. They were crying the whole movie. They thought it was great. But Ariana Grande, the actress that plays Glinda in the movie, she was being criticized because she looks like she's a little skinnier than normal, right? Like she lost some weight. And so somebody asked her about it, on a news thing they were doing, and she said, and she got a little emotional, and she said, It's interesting because she was a child actress, right? She was on Disney and stuff, and she said it doesn't matter. There is no way to be perfect when you're a young woman like that because you're either too fat or you're too skinny or you're too tall or you're too short. You're like you can never be perfect, right? You can never be the perfect weight or the perfect size or whatever. It's absolutely impossible because if you are a little bit on the chubbier side and you go, okay, I'm going to go on a diet and you lose weight. Next thing you know, you have people saying, oh, you're too skinny, you're anorexic, you're this or that, right? Or and then you go back a little, no, oh, you're eating too much. It's like absolutely impossible to satisfy everybody, is what she said. So she said, I'm happy with me. I'm at the weight that I'm content with and I'm happy with. And so I really don't care anymore what people say because I will never please everybody on my how I look. And I thought that was really actually impressive. I was impressed with her emotional maturity on that and everything. And it's a true message, right? It's you can never satisfy everybody. There will always be haters. So don't worry about it, right? If you're doing network marketing, you're doing whatever, and there's going to be people that think you're a scammer or doing a pyramid scheme. It's okay because there's plenty of us that believe in it too and see it as done correctly as one of the most powerful models out there, right? So don't worry about the negative or the haters or what people don't think ever. Okay. All right. Number 12 is focusing on challenges and quests. Okay. So if you don't get results by focusing on results, because you get results by focusing on the actions that produce results, right? So you got to focus on the actual activities, not just the when you arrive, because you never arrive, right? Ever. There's always something more you can do. The best practice is objective based, not time based. In fact, you want to eliminate your sense of time as much as you possibly can, right? Living in the dimensions of time is just a 9 to 5 mindset. Living in flow is about dissolving into timelessness. It's about enjoying what you're doing for the sake of it. One of the fastest ways into flow is by pushing yourself to achieve certain things daily. If you're weightlifting, your reps or objectives could be to do a certain lift perfectly a number of times. If you're a musician, it could be playing a certain song or part of a song 5 times in a row perfectly, right? So make it a game, but more than anything, focus on successfully completing a certain objective and don't build your practice around time and effort. No, it's not about that. We live in the results economy where results are what matter more than anything now. Okay. So that is the goal. Just like with learning my language, it's not about, oh, I've got to be on the Duolingo app for 30 minutes. No, that's not the important thing. I can get through a lesson in less than 5 minutes most of the time, right, with my Duolingo app. But it's the consistency, right? And it's the repetition that really makes it work. Okay, number 13 is seeing how much you can do in a day, right? Challenge yourself. So Ezra Taft Benson was a religious leader who simultaneously served as the 15th United States Secretary of Agriculture during both presidential terms of Dwight Eisenhower. Benson grew up on a farm in Whitney, Idaho, and one day in 1915, at the age of 16 years old, he was hired by a neighbor farmer to thin a field of sugar beets. He took his short-handled hoe in hand and he looked out over the sugar beet field, and there was a thought that came to his mind. He said, "If I work as hard as I can, I wonder how much I can do in a single day." So he started just as the sun came up, and he worked almost without stopping until sundown. Then he realized how much he could do. He had thinned a full acre of beets in just one day, which was an insane amount of work for just one person, right? When the farmer saw what Benson had done, he was shocked. So he dropped $2 silver and two $5 gold coins into Benson's hand. Benson could hardly believe his eyes. $12 at that time, and for a 16-year-old farm boy, was a small fortune, right? So as he walked home, he was walking on air and he felt like the richest man in town. The question Benson asked himself is a question you need to ask yourself. How much can you get done in a single day? How much can you get done today? This isn't about being busy, but rather about being productive. It's also about pushing your own limits and seeing how far you can actually go. Most people are trying to see how little they can do. right? So if you're one of those people who can see, well, see how much you can do as well, right? That's the key. So number 14 is giving more in your relationship. Zig Ziglar said, you can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. That's really the key. But when you're driven to give and to serve as well, right, you can become more empathetic and relevant because it's about them and not about you. You can actually listen and discern what they need. You're not calculating your next move. You're not thinking about what you're going to say next. Instead, you're actually listening. You're actually discovering what other people need. And that is a key aspect of being successful. Number 15 is deep focus and deep reflection. Okay. It's not about the hustle, it's about the alignment. Destroy the idea that you have to be constantly working or grinding in order to be successful. Embrace the concept that rest, recovery, and reflection are also essential parts of the progress towards a successful and ultimately happy life. Because success is not a marathon. Instead, success is a series of sprints. That's interesting, right? You push yourself beyond your limit and then you rest, recover. And that's a little bit different from what I was always taught, right? No, no, no. Life is a marathon, right? No, you got to sprint every once in a while and push yourself, and then rest, recover. Some sprints might just be a week long. Others might be a few years. Whatever the case, you need periods where you surface from the intensity, reflect on what the heck just happened, right? Get some feedback, and then you open yourself up to trusted friends and mentors. Then you readjust and align, right? And if you need to, based on what you've learned and based on post reflection process, and then you do it again. Recovery, resting, and reflection are essential to becoming brilliant at what you do. If you're not prioritizing these, then you're on a path to burnout. Moreover, if you're not taking time to reflect and recover, there's a good chance you're going to go the wrong direction without even knowing it. Okay, number 16 is never stop learning, right? It's a continuous, everyday, the Kaizen philosophy that I love from Japan, just constant, continuous learning and improving. And so one of the things about that is you don't want to believe your own press, right? Peter Cook said that. In other words, you don't want to think you've arrived, right? Because you haven't. You got to be always moving forward. Wayne Gretzky, the famous hockey player, he was one of the best to ever play, but he knew or he was known by his teammates to continually look like a fool because he was always trying new stuff, right? He was trying new things in the practice. He was falling all the time, falling over. He failed so much more than his teammates, but he learned new things, right? The problem with success is it dulls your motivational edge and your drive. In order to keep yourself sharp, you need to never stop pushing your boundaries, no matter how good you become. The moment you stop learning, testing, and trying is the moment you go backwards. So if you don't use it, you'll quickly lose it. And I love that lesson. Just continue to try new things and learn new things that you can move forward with. And finally, number 17 is avoiding excess luxury. So John Bon Jovi said, don't get too comfortable with who you are at any given time. You may miss the opportunity to become who you want to be. So, of course, we love comfort, right? We love state of the art practice facilities, oak paneled corner offices, spotless locker rooms, fluffy towels, which is a shame because unfortunately, luxury is a motivational narcotic, right? It signals our unconscious minds to give less. It whispers, relax, you've made it. For most people, success is not really about the work itself, but about the luxuries success can give you. So just remember, world class performers actually keep things simple. They aren't afraid to enjoy luxuries and make good money, of course. But when it comes to their work, they are simplistic. They maintain the scrappiness and drive as they did when they were first starting out. So, my friends, that is the message today. Those are 17 things that you can implement, hopefully, and guarantee success in your life. I know every time I teach this one, I'm reminded of what I need to be doing and how I can, revitalize my life and my motives with these things. So hopefully that was helpful. Grateful to all of you for being here today, and we will continue as long as it takes until all of us have achieved that great success with that positive social impact that we all desire. So with that, we'll end it. Thanks so much, and we'll see you all next week with the next training. Take care.
Well done, Jeremy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.